Hello and welcome to another Crypto Club and Digital Assets Weekly Catch-up on Zoom. It is Sunday, the 6th of April 2025, and as is always the case, we never know quite what we're going to be talking about. Each week we hold these sessions 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. UK time, and the topics we end up discussing depend entirely upon the audience. Sometimes we talk about blockchains, cryptocurrencies, DeFi, NFTs, ICOs, STOs, the metaverse, central bank digital currencies, really depends. If you enjoy the session, do remember to click on the like or even better subscribe. But even better than that, do come along to a future session. Do come and join us, open to novices and experts alike. Anyway, with that, let's see who's going to join us today. Hey, good afternoon, Gabriella, and good morning, Stuart.
Good afternoon to you, and it is that, isn't it? Afternoon.
It is all early evening even.
Yeah.
Sorry, just changing so I don't get coming out of too lots of speakers there. How are things then, Stuart?
Good. We cancelled our launch at the last
Ah,
minute
okay.
due to market conditions and a number of other things. That upset a lot of people, but yeah, can't be helped.
These things happen. It's amazing how critical timing can be,
Yeah.
and just how something that happens in the market, which is completely different to what you're involved in some way, but just throws you sideways. So,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
It was a number of things that we decided not good.
Okay. Yeah. Well, sorry to hear that, but good that you've held off, and probably a good decision in hindsight as well, I would imagine.
Yeah, a lot of investors don't agree with us, but
Mhm.
c'est la vie.
Well, we'll see how we go. But I'm sure it's an interesting time at the moment. In fact, I posted earlier on about you take a look at the fear and greed index at the moment. We
Uh-huh.
we seem to be heading back towards potentially extreme fear at the moment, which from a crypto point of view could be good, but it's definitely very much uncertain times right now. So yeah,
Well, if we
perhaps
go back to the uncertainty, then there's a lot of capital that's not going to be placed. So it typically goes over into the crypto market.
okay.
I mean, I don't think it goes over one for one. There's someone
Well,
who's,
I
yeah,
was
go
going to
on,
say
go
as
on.
well. I'm getting the impression as well that it used to be quite simply that crypto was typically seen as like a kind of a safe harbor against traditional industries, and
Hmm.
whenever the traditional financial economy was kind of like struggling, crypto was beginning to be being seen as kind of like a prospective safe harbor. But I fear now it's too linked in with mainstream economics that's no longer necessarily the case.
Yeah, I'd agree, but family offices and other people, you still have to make money.
Mm.
Money has to work, and so you look at risk factors, and crypto may or may not fit the bill.
Yep, that's fair, definitely. Well, we'll see what other news there is and what people are thinking at the moment. But for anyone who's interested as well, the fear and greed index, which is something that came about, it was actually done in the traditional shares and stocks markets as well. But there are
Hmm.
now crypto fear and greed indexes as
Yeah.
well.
I
Um,
get those 2 times a week.
Yeah, and in fact, they're quite good to look at. I'll throw one up as an example right now. So we've got the one from CoinMarketCap,
Yeah,
and we can see
that's a
that
good one.
they track through a number of indexes. In fact, so
Mm.
they take a look at the overall Bitcoin price, so we can see how that was doing really well, and it's dropping away at the moment. And they also take a look at their Fear and Greed index, which, as we can see, in I think it's January, at the beginning of the year around this kind of space. Well, I don't know what I've done there, but um, it was hovering quite nicely, and then suddenly it dropped down to at the beginning of the month into what they call the extreme fear zone, and then recovered. But it looks like it recovered, and then it's dropping away again. So this is where I think we might be about to go into that
Mm.
area again. So And I guess that's all got to do with um, macroeconomics and the US impact and China and everything, way
Mm.
beyond just crypto these days.
Yeah. Well, we're due for a stock market revaluation or correction, whatever they want to call it. If those come, what, every 6 years, is it?
So something like that. It's either six or seven, or maybe seven is just waves. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's certainly a cycle thing where you get it in traditional stock markets.
Hmm.
I do fear that this correction, as you describe, may be rather robust, shall we say?
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
which we'll see. But I don't want to be a doom and
the
gloom
Dow is
person.
at what? Some incredible number, 40,000. And it needs a correction, definitely.
Well, it's something as well that it's always interesting to take a look at stock markets versus how people feel and general
Hmm.
sentiment, and there's definitely a very big mismatch between the two right now, and that usually means that there's going to be some sort of correction coming on.
What do you mean by how people feel?
Well,
In
it's just the general sentiment of people worldwide about how they feel about the economy in general. Do they feel happy? Is there lots of employment? Is there inflation? This kind of thing. And there seems to be more and more of a disconnect between the sentiment of people and market prices right now. So I guess it depends upon the environment that you're in. But a lot of people I speak to are pretty doom and gloomy right now and saying how bad things are. But that might be because I'm in the UK and we're certainly not
Yeah, I
going through
mean, you don't
very.
get sunshine, do you?
We have at the moment. We actually
Oh
had
yeah,
a
you're going to get a week where it's warmer than Spain or something.
yeah, that's right. So that's our annual summer
Right.
in April. Yeah, which is
Mm.
very early in the year, and already the press are saying that this is going to lead to wildfires and devastation and deaths and
Oh yeah,
everything. So,
good
so
news.
so we can't win. We're going to get a week of sunshine, but apparently this is really bad for us, and it's going to be tragic. And even though we all, as a nation, go away on holiday to hot countries, apparently hitting 22 degrees this week in the UK is going to wipe us out as a nation. So
Yeah, host pipe ban as well.
I'm sure there will be one. Yeah, I'm not sure if they've taken the previous one off actually. So uh, anyway,
Good morning, JT.
yeah, yeah, some more positivity. JT, welcome aboard.
Hi guys,
Hi.
I was just looking at the charts right now. Oh my gosh, what a big red candle.
Yeah, see,
Whereabouts are you located, JT?
London,
Oh, okay. East, west, north, south.
west.
Okay.
yeah. So Stu's just setting up the coordinates for the cruise missile.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to try it out on London before we try it out on other
Yeah.
places. Yeah.
But it's
And then
interesting.
then we'll apologize.
But it's interesting, Stu. You're saying about I think the Dow Jones before. Uh,
Mm.
I was kind of curious. I just actually pulled it up as we were chatting, um, and it does seem to have gone through like fallen off a cliff type thing
Hmm.
in the last
Yeah.
month. This is certainly something of a drop. That you know that's a normal day in crypto land, and
Mm.
carnage and devastation in traditional markets.
Yeah.
I hadn't realised it had fallen that rapidly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. 38,000. Is it 38? It
yep.
started at? Yeah.
Well, it certainly, I mean, it was 44, in fact, higher, 44, 45 early on
Yeah.
in the year. Started the year at
Oh,
43-ish.
yeah,
Um,
but it was overinflated.
mm.
It needs to come down.
And I think that's,
Bitcoin is about to hit 79. It's on 80. So
Mm.
yeah,
Bitcoin, just before I started the session, it was on 81,900, I think it was.
it 80, uh,
Okay.
8100.
Yeah, I'll just pull that up as well. That's certainly an interesting one to see.
Yeah, in about 4 hours, it's gonna be interesting because that's when the US stock market futures opens. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think it's gonna be a bloody Monday
In how many hours?
in about 4 hours. So,
Really?
yeah.
It's Sunday
The
here.
thing is, the
Uh,
coincidence was that uh, of this really rapid drop today, yeah, was because um, the Trump administration said tariffs will not be delayed and will continue. Like
JT, I think you may have got time zones wrong. I think it's at
Yeah.
least 24 hours before the US markets open, isn't it?
Could I add something?
Yeah, please do, Gabrielle.
Okay, because I was thinking about Gary, you told something about the price or the situation about crypto, Bitcoin related to, of course, politics or geopolitics or okay. And perhaps because now from since the 21st of March, North Korea becomes the third largest government Bitcoin holder.
Is that right?
That's right. Yes.
They've stolen that much?
The third, so absolutely amazing. So yes, Gary, perhaps you can share so I was wondering, of course, that it maybe um, could affect the price of Bitcoin and the reaction of Trump as well. And mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting. It did actually, it made the news last month.
Yes,
When,
March, I think that
yeah, that's
uh,
right. When,
I
in fact,
something, yeah, the third. So it's
yep,
like what? So, exactly.
yeah.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, so you're right. That was a few weeks ago where they said,
Yes.
but then when you look at number one and number two, being third only to El Salvador and Bhutan.
No. I don't think so. Salvador is is first a strategy, of course.
Yeah,
Strategy, yeah, and
yeah.
mm,
See, I thought in terms of nation states, and again, there was the comments about, oh, does that mean that they've stolen the most? But in actual fairness, a lot of government holdings of crypto are actually based on seizures in some way. So I thought that the US and the UK were quite large holders of Bitcoin now, but that was based on
US is
criminal
number one.
seizures.
US is number one. UK is number two. North Korea is number three. And they're saying on the
are you speaking about
network.
countries? Because I think that
Sorry.
are you thinking about countries? Because I think that
Yes.
okay, because the strategy is up to I think this is the first one or the second one strategy. Michael Saylor.
Is it who?
Strategy. Michael Saylor is the
Oh,
first.
MicroStrategy.
No, but now it's a strategy. Just
Oh,
Michael's.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
yes.
Individual people, but the governments of the
Okay.
US and the UK are number one and number two. Number three is North Korea,
Mm-hmm.
who've acquired it mainly through their Lazarus group, which is a cybercrime syndicate linked to North Korea, which is a good way of getting Bitcoin, I guess.
Okay, so it's clear that here is a political influence,
Mm.
geopolitical influence.
Yeah.
It certainly could be, but it's interesting. I just pulled in as we were chatting Kraken, who are likely to know about this, being one of
But
the
not just in the price. It's not in.
yeah. But Kraken is saying, in terms of the biggest holders by wallet, they're certainly saying that Satoshi Nakamoto 1.1 million BTC, strategy, say like 500,000 Bitcoin, Tesla about 10,000 or just under, Block One, that they're mentioning some others. But they've not really mentioned in terms of countries on here. They've got companies holding the most Bitcoin, which they mention things. So, as you say, Strategy, or as it was, MicroStrategy, and Galaxy and Marathon. And I thought actually some of the other big holdings were the likes of
BlackRock,
hedge funds now. Yeah,
BlackRock,
and
Grayscale,
yeah,
Bitfinex.
yeah. I thought, here we go. Countries holding Bitcoin. Interesting. Wonder where Ukraine got its 46,000 Bitcoin from. And presumably that's as they've received donations, one might think. So yeah, there's a lot of it around. So,
Coinbase seems to be the largest holder of BTC at the moment.
Which, does that make sense as an exchange?
Yeah.
Because effectively, if they're holding it, that means they're just custodying it for the clients, or does that mean they're holding it for liquidity?
They don't share, so it's what are the biggest holders of Bitcoin? Yeah, it goes where the Bitcoin is. It's in wallets, and those wallets are owned by Coinbase. Yeah.
So they are custodial. Yeah. Okay.
Well, most probably. I mean,
yeah.
Last year and this year, there's a lot of stuff happening. So most certainly you are right. Yeah, it's just mainly custodian.
Yeah. I thought this was interesting, actually. I'm not sure how River came up with this, but they took a look at ownership distribution, and looking at how much is owned by individuals versus businesses versus governments. And they're kind of suggesting that governments only own about under 1.5%, which means even if North Korea is one of the top 3 governments holding it, that's still not a large amount compared to the overall market. So maybe it's all relative. Oh, an interesting thought though, in terms of governments owning crypto. So what else is going on in the world? See, we're joined by Elena and Annie.
I confirmed, Gary, and futures opens Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern time, which is about 10 p.m. our time, which is we're about 3 hours or 2.5 almost away from.
Okay. So the US futures market opens ahead of the actual traditional, like, Monday morning then?
Yeah, futures, yeah.
Okay.
It always opens 6 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. I think it closes at 5 p.m. Eastern time on Fridays. I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Oh, there we go, Stuart. You need to get in quickly.
I personally, I think tomorrow it's going to be very similar to an historical Black Monday,
Okay. And for those who are just joining us now, because I see we've got Annie and Elena have joined us, we were talking about the crypto markets and how it is that today Bitcoin is currently on a major descent trajectory, dropping quite rapidly. And JT was just sharing his feeling that this is going to get worse in a few hours when the US futures markets open. So this could be quite a historic session. So we're just on $80,000 at the moment. So we'll see in 30 so minutes where that is and where we end up. Because you do get these big corrections.
So, but this is the pattern that's usually Bitcoin when it happens with Bitcoin after the halving. Is the same pattern that the halving before or not?
No.
No? Okay.
So usually in previous cycles, between December and April, well, end of March, beginning of April, we would see the markets just going up nonstop. Yeah. And there will be always a rotation from Bitcoin to and Ethereum to the rest of the other altcoins.
Mhm.
That's what usually happens between December and April. And then usually there is a small correction just before summer, yeah, and then it comes back again. That's what has been happening the last few cycles. So who knows now? Yeah.
Exactly, but my question is if the pattern is being the same.
No, no,
No.
it's not.
It's not. Okay. Mhm. Why?
I-
And why not? Because of
Two variables. One was BlackRock entering the game last year with ETFs. So the ETFs change a lot, which means it started earlier. Yeah. And that's why Bitcoin went to 109 or whatever it was. I can't remember the exact number, but around that. And the second one was Trump.
Trump, exactly. Okay.
So those are the two things that are a little bit different.
Yeah, I just pulled up a graphic that was produced around Bitcoin halving cycles in the past, and how it is you get the actual halving, and in the lead up to it, you
Thank
get
you.
like a rapid increase in prices, and then you get a post increase in prices, and then a decay away. So
And it could be as well because, well, in general, the world is embracing Bitcoin. No, that's
yeah. I mean, this is my thinking there. I think each halving has been different by the very nature that the world economics previously had no impact, no bearing, whereas as crypto becomes more and more mainstream, then naturally what's going on in the rest of the world will have an impact. But also, I've always argued that for each halving cycle, the actual crypto market itself has changed. So if you take a look at like in 2008 or something, that market was purely crypto enthusiasts and those people who were into it. Particularly because Bitcoin was only just being created around about then. Then in like 2012, 2014, it was the very early adopters. 2018-ish was when you had people who were beginning to hear about ICOs and that kind of thing. So it was a different market. Then 2022, you started seeing the beginnings of the institutional investors coming in. So the very fact that like major holders of crypto now are the likes of Grayscale, BlackRock, Strategy, Tesla, that kind of thing, that they behave differently to what a group of crypto enthusiasts would behave. That they're thinking a completely different investment strategy. So I argue that the halving concept is not a repeating pattern because the market is not repeating. It's a different market.
Gary, can we differentiate crypto from Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, yeah. And in the
Yeah,
case that you're absolutely right. And in fairness, where we're talking about halving cycles, I'm talking about Bitcoin halving.
Bitcoin, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realize it's all about Bitcoin and people do confuse it, but
Mhm.
it gets annoying because not all crypto follows the cycle of Bitcoin.
You're right. However, I think Bitcoin still represents about 62% of the crypto market by value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so therefore it is amazing. But I agree.
Actually, I disagree with that. If it follows
good.
more and more, because if you put take all the stable coins away, yeah,
Yeah.
and pick up
Mm-hmm.
on 30 those top 40 tokens, yeah, put side by side, and the actual graph looks exactly the same. So what that means is, as you,
They're slightly delayed, though, I think you'll find.
that's exactly the same. Okay, if it goes up,
Okay.
Bitcoin, everything goes up. So it's
Mm-hmm.
about FA, and you have very, very large hedge funds. I spotted these back in March 2021. Large hedge funds enter the game with bots and automation. So when they have access to massive credit lines, yeah, when we're talking about tens or maybe hundreds of billions of dollars, yeah, it's just putting trading strategies where they just go and buy the top tokens and the graphs look exactly the same. We actually had a session on this before, Gary. Do you remember?
Yeah.
We
So,
discussed
so,
it before.
so I was going to both agree and disagree in some respects. I've just pulled up a quick example here of some of the top cryptos. And if you take a look at Bitcoin at the top, that's what the graph looks like. And there are similarities to what Ethereum looks like. XRP tends to behave differently because of the nature of it. Solana,
Very similar.
it's
Even
similar, yeah.
XRP is a
Yeah.
little, yeah.
But I think Stuart's got the point as well that you get something of a lead or lag between them as well. And then occasionally you get it, Tron, for example, seems to be behaving differently. But everyone talks about things like correlation between cryptos and how it's a highly correlated market because the graph looks the same. That's not actually what correlation is. Correlation is more, is it going up at the same scale and at the same time? And I don't think they are. I think it's actually a mix. I think they follow a similar pattern, but there are definitely differences within the market. So you look at the ones further down, like Sui and Hedera, Hashgraph, and that. They're all certainly in a downward trend, but the overall pattern is not quite the same as Bitcoin's. The other thing I'd offer as well is that as human beings, we are very good at spotting patterns that don't exist, and so we do need to be careful. We think we can see a trend, and it isn't actually a trend when you statistically look at it, but the patterns do look similar. And it's no different to how when people look at the sky and they say, oh, I can see a dog or a cow or whatever. It's like, no, you can see a cloud. And the cloud happens to be in the shape that reminds you of a dog or a cat. You can't see a cat or whatever. So anyway, that's my view.
I'm just curious as to whether the trend that you're seeing right now, is that to do with the tariff charges increase, or is that something there, you think?
I think this was what we were discussing, that more and more crypto is being influenced by traditional macroeconomic factors. And so world events and that will definitely come into play. And we were saying before that there was a stage at which crypto was thought of as being potentially a safe harbor. So the standard thing of when you look at economic cycles, usually when people are worried about what's going on, that they'll move out of cash and savings and they'll put into things like precious metals. So this is how like gold and silver do well. And then as things are stabilizing, they may move into property because they think, oh, house prices are going to go up and this kind of thing. And so more and more people were beginning to add crypto as part of their portfolio on the basis. And early on, it used to be that crypto behaved sufficiently differently that it affected, I've forgotten what the actual phrase is now, the Sharpe ratio. That's it. So the Sharpe ratio is something that you can do when you're working about the relative volatility of your portfolio. And it's something that I think hedge funds and asset managers do a lot of. And they worked out that crypto was behaving sufficiently different to other asset classes that by just having even 5% of your holdings in crypto, it actually improved the Sharpe ratio and therefore improved the profitability of the portfolio. Please note, however, this is all opinions and is not financial advice, blah, blah, blah.
I'm going to follow exactly what you said. Listen, the fact is that since 2020, 2021, the more institutional players came. Hedge funds came to the and there's been a rotation for the last 5 years or so where we see a lot more traditional finance players coming to the space, and with that comes the habits they've had all the time, yeah, which is about making money by trading. So high frequency trading, you associate that with bots, with technology, because there's blockchain, and then you can do a lot of automation that you can't do. A lot of times you can't do, or majority of times you can't do on a stock exchange. Yeah. So that brought a lot of good things, yeah, which means more adoption for crypto, but bad things as well, which means all of this volatility, majority of time is artificially created so that they can actually extract more wealth from people that are gamblers. The people go and put longs and shorts, and which again is something that was happening, well, happens often on traditional finance, and it wasn't happen too much in crypto until about 2018, 19. And then it accelerated really fast as soon as those players start to enter our space. It's evolution, So when we look at more people, we need, yes, it's true, like Gary said, but the big money, the biggest holders are really the people that are in traditional finance that bring all of that liquidity. I mean, they have credit lines with the largest banks, etc. So very easy for them to get that money, and I don't want to say the word manipulate, but it's probably quite close to that these days.
I think they can highly influence is definitely the thing. Well, whether it's outright manipulation, I think different people have different perspectives, but they can certainly have an impact. Definitely on that. Yeah. The other thing as well worth bearing in mind, and again this goes back to why the Bitcoin market is behaving differently with halving and this kind of thing now, is the introduction of traditional asset investment methods into crypto, by which I mean things like ETFs, whereby more and more traditional investors can get exposures to, generally for that, crypto means Bitcoin. But the very fact that again is a leverage that the hedge funds and that kind of thing. So I guess this was why BlackRock and Grayscale are some of the largest holders of Bitcoin, certainly, is because I think they've got ETFs and investment schemes that require a percentage of the holding in crypto now.
Yeah, I mean, you mix hedge funds with high frequency trading, that's what happens in crypto markets, very simple. And it's so optimized, a lot of the things that they do. It's sometimes astonishes me. I mean, they must have teams just working on algorithms constantly, constantly, all the time, 24 hours.
They're called quants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be involved in the quant market, 10, 15 years ago, and basically applying maths to probabilities, and it's the most refined form of gambling going. It's fascinating. If they do it right, there's a lot of money to be made. And what was interesting as well was in the early days of crypto, when quants from traditional financial industries said, hey, I've got this algorithm that does all this sort of predictive stuff. And they set up funds to trade in crypto because they thought, well, crypto's a marketplace. We deal in markets already, so we'll just take out the algorithms. And it just didn't work because the nature of crypto is different to traditional stocks and shares. So traditional stocks and shares, ultimately, the prices are influenced by the underlying assets, the customers, the products, the services, and that. Whereas crypto is just influenced by ones, zeros, and a celebrity going, hey, buy my NFT or something on some occasions. So a very different market. And there were a few companies who rapidly went bust when they tried to apply their traditional stock market or even FX rate algorithms onto the crypto market because they are different.
Thing is, usually, I don't know, I actually haven't looked at statistics like in the last couple of years, but we used to have like, I think between 600 and 900 bankruptcy on hedge funds, yeah? And then every year there was another 500 to 900 that would appear. Yeah. It's super interesting world but you know, at the same time, I find it a lot, from my perspective, personally, yeah, quite dodgy. Yeah,
Mm.
I don't know how some are allowed to do this, but obviously there are regulations and laws, and they abide by them. But it's super fascinating what's happening in crypto, but it could actually, even with regulations, it could actually change the way trading in crypto happens from now onwards. And I think it could be quite detrimental, to be honest. You know, there will be a lot of volatility. In the past, we wouldn't see like these massive drops, you know, in 1 or 2 hours of $5,000 to $10,000, you know. Sorry, $5,000 to $10,000. Yeah, on BTC. You would see over time that to happen. Now it just happens almost immediately. For them, for you to see on a graph $5,000 drop on Bitcoin, that equates to quite a lot of billions of dollars, yeah, that are being worth of Bitcoin that are being dumped on the market. So it
Well,
could be quite.
you only need to take a look at what's happened in the last couple of hours. Were what's that? 79.6 from 83. So that's $3,000 drop in 8 hours.
And that's normal, actually, you know. But
it still looks like it's falling off a cliff, which it does do sometimes. It happened a couple of days ago, where we had a similar thing where it was, you know, around about the 86 mark and dropped down to 82. So that's a $4,000 drop. So it does happen. Let's take a look a little bit further. Yeah, you get all these. What's this one?
actually, you see, the volume is not a lot. It's 1 billion.
Just over a billion. Yeah.
It's not that much.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it does happen. It's like you take a look just before Christmas. Again, it was what, 106, dropped down to 97. So that's that's nearly enough, a 10% drop. I think that was quite substantial. So these things do happen. That's why I find it fascinating whenever you get these drops and people talk about a market collapse and all this. It's like, no, it's just the market. That's the nature of crypto. So what else is going on then? Anyone heard any other news? JT, you're right about. I think you mentioned something last week about. Was it Coinbase potentially acquiring somebody? If I remember correctly, there was something going on. So I thought you mentioned something on that. I was taking a look at the news earlier on about Solana. I think there's a new Solana ETF that's kicked in, but that doesn't seem to be making that much news. Just wondering if anyone knows of anything else that's happening at the moment in the market, apart from constantly watching Bitcoin.
yeah, I remember what you said. I remember last week was Deribit, wasn't it?
Deribit, that was it. Yeah. There was a story that they were. Was Deribit was potentially being acquired by Coinbase? Coinbase, this was March 22, so yeah, last week there.
I think one of the things that really caught my attention was the Trump media, yeah, launching ETFs on crypto.com. Yes,
Okay.
That's super interesting. And I said before to people, I think crypto.com, the brand is quite amazing, you know, if you think, well, the name of such a big presence in the US, and when Trump was announcing all of that stuff about what was going to be on the treasury, these and so on, I've been telling people I think crypto.com is going to be on the list, you know. So there you go. They already aligning with them.
Which is odd because it says here crypto.com's Singapore based.
Yeah, true. But they have a huge presence in the US. Do you remember, like in 2021, they sponsor that big stadium, $790 million, if I'm not mistaken, you know. So I don't know if it was football or if it was baseball, but it was one of them, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it was American football.
So they've had a strong presence in the US for quite a while, you know. But you're right. I mean, their HQ is in Singapore. They probably will move to the US if things change with the laws, you know. It would make sense for them. So I think Chris is probably aligning himself with that.
And it's interesting as well, announcements like that, as you say, it helps crypto.com, but it also led to Trump Media as a company doing quite nicely as well. As it says on here, you know, the stock did go up, it did drop down again. So yeah, so jumped nearly 10% last week when they announced it. So, and then it dropped down again. So, as they say, buy on the rumor, sell on the news. Yeah, interesting stuff. So, anything else happening then?
Yeah, I was digging a little bit more on the OpenAI talking with Visa for a stablecoin wallet. Now that's super interesting. I can see OpenAI starting to get into the crypto, you know, start take stablecoin payments and stuff like that. How further they will go, I don't know.
Because again, I still think there's another angle on that in terms of Elon Musk announced the merger of XAI, so his AI arm, with X.com, as in Twitter, as it was formerly, and he's merged both of those organizations. And the crypto connection is that Twitter as a platform already had built in a crypto payments or micropayments capability. So you've got XAI, X.com, and the payments capability. That's an interesting combination. Maybe he's going to merge it all within Grok or something. We'll have Grok coin coming up shortly. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be a big brand for sure, you know.
Yeah. So, Annie, what's going on? Are you hearing anything interesting? Been to any interesting events which worth sharing? Any news or anything?
Not recently.
Yeah.
Not recently. But
Okay.
I'm just kind of curious as to, you know, the news seems to be on all these tariffs and showing, you know, lots of graphs about which country is affected by how much and all that sort of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And UK is normal, it's just 10%. It's better than Europe. So, you know, so you're not really being affected that much. And the other thing is, I was just kind of curious because I saw you using Binance site, considering that Binance no longer operate in the UK. I don't think we can actually trade in Binance anymore, do we? Can we still trade, considering that they're not in the UK anymore?
So I believe not. I believe that you're unable to trade actively if you're a resident in the UK. Yeah. But
You need an
find,
offshore account.
Yeah.
Is it offshore account or is it Arcax? So it looks like Arcax is the only FCA approved Bitcoin trading.
There are some others. I think Zodia.
Wasn't it just futures? Just I thought it was only.
Who's that, JC?
It's not future.
Binance.
Binance. I think it was mainly leveraging, isn't it? That was not allowed anymore.
No, I thought they
I
mentioned
don't know if you
ago.
could still do swaps. To be honest, you know, I haven't used it for a while.
I'm just checking at the moment.
You can, if you have a Binance account, you still can access. You can log in. You can. I don't think they're taking any more deposits, if I'm not mistaken, and they can.
There we go.
I don't know. I'm not going to talk bullshit because I don't know.
Well, there you go. We can blame somebody else. It says here that Binance currently unavailable in the UK. That was at the beginning of the year, and that was certainly the answer that I thought because they weren't, and authorized provider of crypto services. And so I thought that they decided to, rather than going in for FCA registration, that they just said to UK customers they'd cease supporting and providing. But yeah, it was previously derivatives, but that was when the whole thing came down that the FCA announced that they were banning crypto derivative trading for retail customers in the UK. Well, I think Binance subsequently announced that they were withdrawing services for UK customers. As Stuart says, that there are options if you've got a way of trading through an overseas entity or something like that. You can still do that.
But there is still complication if you try to convert that back to fiat currency in the UK bank, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah.
Why the heck would you do that?
I was about to add exactly that. The crypto purists will say, well, once you're in the crypto world, why do you want to come out of it? And then the traditionalists say, because I have to put food on the table.
I would say the same.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't be gambling in crypto then.
Mm.
If you have to put food on the table.
Sometimes that is what you get paid for.
Mm.
So if you know that is how you get paid, then you have to be able to convert that back to fiat currency.
And it does vary as well. I think in some of the Middle Eastern countries, particularly places like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, where they are more crypto savvy, I think there's more of a comfort. And in fact, there are even companies operating there who offer to pay you your salary in crypto. And there are easier ways of operating it. But certainly in the UK, it's quite difficult to survive purely in crypto land, if you need to buy things or whatever. But then even then, there are ways around that. There are cards that'll do like instant transfers and that kind of thing. But yeah, it kind of brings it into question as to whether that's worthwhile.
There's one thing that I spotted. There's a few things I spotted out there super interesting. One of them is just to give warning to people about the FTX thing. Yeah. I mean, there's 400,000, I think it was announced today, 400,000 FTX users are going to lose 2.5 billion because they haven't claimed it. They haven't registered for the KYC, etc. Yeah? It's mandatory to take that step. That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. I wonder why they didn't register.
Yeah, I wonder as well.
I can't think.
But man, could be many just forgot,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of money, actually, I wonder if it's some SBF money on many accounts. Yeah.
400,000 FTX customers, 2.5 billion.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And that's because they've not registered for KYC. Yes. Yeah. But then there have been cases like that with traditional fiat as well, haven't there? I seem to remember when some countries, for example, when they changed their currency, I think it was India, when they suddenly stopped I think it was their 5,000 rupee notes or something, where they said that we're cancelling them, but if you bring them into a bank, we'll convert them. And a lot of people didn't. So, yeah. Yes, crypto land and fiat land aren't so different after all.
Yeah. So something else, Conor McGregor, the UFC champion, he launched a token called Real yesterday, April the 5th. Okay. I was like, what? So, yeah. And if you go to his Twitter account,
he talks tough on immigration, doesn't he?
Yeah.
In Ireland.
That guy, that guy.
I'd vote for him.
You were Irish? I didn't know you were Irish.
No, but if I could, I would vote for him. Oh. I'm waiting for Ireland to, and this gets into politics, I won't go there.
No, don't go there.
Thank you.
No, I won't go there.
But just pulling up because
I changed the fight game, I changed the whiskey game, I changed the stout game. Now it's time to change the crypto game. I'm like, what the hell?
So is he like an icon in the industry or something like that? Then
Yeah, he's a UFC
it's not
champion.
it's not a sport or
Yeah, he was
whatever
a
you want to call it.
UFC champion fighter, yeah, and also became a political candidate in Ireland. He was that guy that was in the Trump's, I think it was last week, wasn't it, Stuart? In the Oval Office. There's a photo of him with Trump 2 weeks ago.
Oh no,
Yeah.
don't follow politics that much here.
It says something about it here, certainly when I pull up his details. Sorry, I don't follow many sports, so I hear these names and it's like, I've got no idea who they are. Okay.
Something else as well was that's super interesting. I'm still analyzing it, but Roblox,
Mm-hmm.
Web3 features are arriving in Roblox. So it's super interesting. And I want really to dig more into that. It's about Slingshot is a game launcher, yeah. So if Web3 goes into Roblox, we're gonna see something huge, absolutely huge,
But I guess again, the question really is what is meant by that. Is Web3 is a term that you keep hearing, and it's like, well, what does it really mean? What's the
Read a
differentiator
little
for the
bit.
end user?
You understand? Look at it a little bit lower. It says Zach, Roblox gamers are the next generation of crypto investors, and that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
It's a game changer, to be honest, if they really go into that.
Well, this is the thing. So Roblox, for those who don't know, the computer gaming thing, it's already got its own currency.
Yeah.
Which may not be a cryptocurrency, but you can buy Robux, which is how you buy games and avatars and features and that kind of thing. So
anyone who has children knows that.
Yeah, exactly. So I fully get the connection there between gaming and an alternative currency because the gamers are used to it already.
If you think well, Gary, for them will be quite simple to implement because they have a in-game currency. Everything is done already in all games. It's just substituting in the back end a blockchain, with a token, and then abstract anything that is related to a crypto wallet and payments and so on. Yeah, you abstract that, which are many solutions out there, and they will capture massively the crypto market, in my opinion. And enabling games to then access those APIs as well. You will see a lot of developers that are bringing games into crypto start to develop games in Roblox to capture that market.
Well, I guess this is where we come into Elena's area of expertise of the metaverse as well. Because when you start having cryptocurrencies that are like Roblox or Minecraft or any of the metaverse type things, again, it's about the whole payment systems in a virtual world. And I agree that the gaming side of things is where they're already using a virtual currency. So it shouldn't be too difficult to extend it. But if you've got something on a blockchain and Web3, that then gives you the ability to transfer that value across metaverses or the metaverse, depending upon how you want to define it. Is that a fair thing, Elena, do you think? Is there the potential?
The current interoperability issue. And it's only in the beginning stage.
Okay.
And if only it was given more attention and developed, then I would say the Web3 features would appear on many more games.
So JT, it may be you're exactly right. That Slingshot, which is part of Roblox, going to be introducing some capabilities, and Sling is their utility token. So I guess, does that take off from Roblox?
Roblox, if they were questioned before, yeah, and I was watching the interview. Why they're not getting to crypto? And the CEO was very, very simple answer was, we don't need to. We have paying customers, they are highly profitable. And that was a great answer. Now, if you start to see a shift where a Web3 is actually coming into Roblox anyway, as the more companies are going to come, bring through Slingshot or other people will copy what Slingshot is doing, for sure, then they will not have any other option but to do it as well. Yeah. So it's a one to watch, in my opinion. Yeah. And I think it can change Roblox quite rapidly, in my opinion.
Okay. Because I was just picking up comments on Reddit as well about Slingshot DAO. It's talking about it being the Roblox game launcher. So I think maybe this is something to read about afterwards.
And then you will have things like PayPal, yeah? If PayPal, I don't know if it's enabled or not at Roblox, but probably will at some point, yeah? Or is already, I don't know, where you can buy Robux automatically. Then PayPal yesterday announced another two coins added, which was Solana. They added Solana to PayPal. Okay. And Chainlink as well. So the Link token and the Solana token are now on PayPal as well. I think it was yesterday or Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
It says 3 days ago. In fact, I was checking as you were saying that the announcements where it says PayPal extends to cover Solana and Chainlink, as you say, that was on April the 3rd. So was that Thursday?
Yeah, it was a few days back, 3 days ago.
Yeah. But yeah.
But I mean, Venmo as well, probably, you know?
Yeah. So what's that? PayPal's basically providing the ability to pay using Solana across the PayPal network.
Right. You can send your Solana to your PayPal wallet and then use PayPal, and it will probably do automatic conversion, isn't it?
Okay.
At the PayPal rates, whatever they
yeah, looks it. So again, you know, PayPal's gradually growing the range of cryptocurrencies that it allows you to buy and sell through. You know, they've got Bitcoin Cash.
I think you start to understand what Elon Musk is cooking. Yeah. He's done PayPal before, so.
Well, this is a game where I say that linking together an AI capability with XAI, a messaging capability with X.com, and then a crypto payments or a micropayments platform definitely all makes sense. So, yep, all interesting stuff. Look, it looks like we've about covered it, Dan. And I guess everyone's getting really interested in what Bitcoin's up to now, because it's now dropped down to $79,000. So
it's 78 already or not? No, not yet.
Well, on Binance certainly shown down on 79.
78. It reached 78 right now.
Oh. So I'm guessing people are going to be keen to go and take a look at that. So we'll wrap up for now anyway. It's been quite lively on certainly the Bitcoin market today, and lots of other things going on. So we'll call that a day. It's nearly on the hour anyway. So thank you everyone for coming along today. Much appreciated as always. Gabriella, Stuart, JT, and Anna, and Elena. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again next week. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye bye.